Hey everyone, this is post-editing Beyond TCG here. Just wanted to give you a heads up as I was going through the videos again. When I introduce number 5 and number 4, I seem to get a little too excited and accidentally shout a little bit more into the microphone than I normally like to. So just wanted to give that heads up for anyone who's listening just to be aware. Don't worry, it's only for a second. I am just a very excited and passionate person, but I didn't want to surprise any headphones listeners. So thanks again. I apologize for that one. I got a new mic, so shouldn't be a problem in the future. But again, thanks so much, and let's get right back into the video. Hey everyone, Beyond TCG, back for part 2 of the top 10 worst Pokemon card designs. I saw that you all really enjoyed part 1, and I've been itching to get to part 2, as I just got to say the part 1 was cards that I could learn to live with. They're annoying, but they can exist in the card game. These top 5, here's my hot take. I think the Pokemon card game is actively worse for having them in them, and I think if you remove them, you'd have a better trading card game. Sounds like a hot take? Well, we'll get into it and then we'll find out just how crazy of a statement that is. Before getting into that, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone. I saw there's lots of views on the recent videos. It's just blows me away how much people are enjoying, and I'm really grateful for that. And I just wanted to quickly note as well, I am going on a vacation shortly. I still plan to have videos during that time, but that just means I won't be able to respond to comments or see the feedback immediately. But don't worry, still plenty to enjoy during that time. And then once I'm back, I can assure you there's some really exciting content coming ahead. But let's get into some of these cards. Just to mention, as always, like I mentioned in the first video, first off, these are fully my opinion. Obviously, that was a very hot take. You may disagree with some of these cards and think they are good for the game, and that is 100% okay. It's all about the player experience at the end of the day. I just personally try to, make as many happy players as possible, and I think most of these cards create more unhappy players than happy players, but that's an opinion. Second off, I am not a pro Pokemon player. I don't go to tournaments. Obviously, I'm aware of what the pros are playing and what cards are good or not, but I can't say I've gone to a million tournaments. But I'm more focused as a designer than I am a pro player at the end of the day anyway. I want to make cards that are interesting. Like if a card's going to be powerful, I like when it makes a new strategy rather than it just being blatantly powerful, as we saw with the Arceus V Star in the last episode. And some of these cards are also out of standard. I know a bunch of them that you're going to see are out of standard, but I want to keep in mind for everyone that I am a primarily extended player as well. Now, some of these cards are still in standard and they annoy me even there, but it's just that to me, just because a card rotated out of the format doesn't mean it's no longer a problem. And I think it's important to observe what went wrong so these mistakes are not repeated in the future. And also, as I'm going through these cards, I'm not just going to say, oh, it's bad, get rid of it. I do try to include some personal fixes as a designer, just to give you an idea of what my thought process would be for fixing it, as well as just generally making the cards better, hopefully for the future of the Pokemon card game. All right, those are the things to note. Let's get into these top 5 remaining cards here. 5 cards, 5 card ideas that drive me crazy.
Number 5.
All right, coming in number 5, it is the Swingy coin flip effects. Okay, so if there's one thing to know about me as a designer, I cannot stand coin flipping. It's just more random luck in a trading card game, which is already full of random luck. I'm okay with some coin flipping. There's some Pokemon that like flip coins to deal more damage or stuff like that. But these two cards especially, Kingler V and Crushing Hammer, are the swingiest ever. Both of them, like Kingler V is like flip a coin. If heads, you are way ahead of your opponent. You have a powerful ability that no other Pokemon can do. You are so far ahead. But if tails, nothing happens. Same thing with Crushing Hammer. Every time Crushing Hammer is competitively, and I mean, I've seen it be played in tournaments multiple times, it is such a feel bad card in my opinion, because it's like, oh, I played really, really well. My opponent, I managed to outplay them, but they flipped heads a bunch of times, so I lost the game. Like, that doesn't really create any strategy. And I'm sure there's going to be some people, bringing the typical counter argument of, oh, well, the new players, they need some sort of card that allows them to inch out wins every now and then. Okay, I know this is maybe a little bit of a tough take here, but I want to say that for newer players, there are better things to do. And Pokemon TCG is already doing that. You've already got these starter boxes for families to play with, and just these starter decks that are meant for new players to play against each other. As someone who's played like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and all these other card games, none of them had these like broken-tastic luck-based cards that got me into the game. I got into the game because I wanted to learn how to play the game and I wanted to challenge myself. I don't think making super swingy cards makes a better game, especially Crushing Hammers. Oh man. Okay, so what are my fixes for these super swingy coin flip effects? First off, again, nerf the power level of the coin flips. What's making this Kingler V extra feel bad is that that is such a crazy ability. If you took away the coin flip, everyone would be playing Kingler V. Literally tutor 5 water. That's 5 less dead draws from your deck, and all your Pokemon are so far ahead, you can just attack for 200 next turn. Like, like I said, there are some fair coin flips, and again, if you've seen my set review, definitely check out Delibird in the water episode. That's kind of an example of coin flipping, in my opinion, that doesn't feel bad and isn't super swingy. But I think the coin flipping needs to be reduced in a way that's just a little bit more fun and interesting than cards like these. Yeah, so see some of my personal coin flip designs. Again, this is not just me ranting about them. I'm okay with some coin flipping. Let's make it interesting. I'll shout out, there's a Sableye in Dark as well you can check out. That's another good example of coin flipping, for my opinion. And just generally stop printing the coin flipping effects. At the time of this recording, I was hoping Crushing Hammer would not come back, and I saw the Scarlet and Violet spoilers, which I'll review in the future, and I saw Crushing Hammer is there and realized we are never ever going to escape this card. It drives me crazy, but you know, a man can dream. A man can dream. One day maybe we won't see Crushing Hammers anymore, but until then, that's always going to be my recommendation. Stop printing that card.
Number 4.
All right, coming in at number 4, it is double colorless energy. So when I say double colorless energy, I mean all three of them that you're seeing here. Double turbo energy, twin energy. I know that these are attempts at making more fair double colorless energy, and I appreciate the effort that Pokemon's putting into it, but my goodness, these cards are still getting abused way too easily. Number one, the amount of decks that I see that I'm running into that are running double colorless in some deck that's also running energy at the same time, like I don't know how you can possibly pull up that consistency, which drives me crazy. Twin Energy, I think, was kind of a nerf in the right direction, not allowing these two prizers to abuse it. But then they weren't doing that, and I don't know. I think Pokemon likes to let players get away with this, so they made double Turbo Energy. And when I saw this card, I was like, great, this is definitely going to get abused, just like double Colorless Energy was. And then they showed it with Arceus V-Star, and I was like, okay, they blatantly know what they're doing. I mean, they're going out of their way to make sure this card is broken. And now you go into the expanded format, and now I got these players running a million double colorless energies. They're throwing it on the Blissey Vs, which is able to deal way more damage now for no good reason. I mean, all sorts of crazy things there. Obviously, even more of my complaint is the fact that I think Pokemon sometimes makes like a Zoroark GX that's very clearly meant to break these cards, but these cards to me, like, this should be something that you expect from a colorless deck, not a dark deck or a fire deck randomly. And the last thing I was going to note is at the time of this recording, Lugia V-Star is dominating the format just because these cards exist. And we're seeing just how ridiculous that is. I mean, everyone's able to cheat out 4 energy attacks. I mean, I don't know. The deck does something a little bit different, but is it fun? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But okay, so what are the changes that I want from Double Colorless Energy? First off, like I said, I'm of the opinion that this card should only be for colorless decks. I think that's the way to make it a little bit more fair and interesting, because then at least you're running up against a colorless deck and you're like, oh, cool, okay, they're probably going to use this attack a little bit earlier than normal. That's something I can prepare for. Just like how with dragon decks, I automatically had that assumption, and it doesn't feel so bad when they play double dragon energy because I expect it. But whenever I see it randomly come out in like a water deck or a fire deck where it really shouldn't be, I'm always like, why? Yes, also, please ban this card and expand it. This is another card that's getting just totally abused and expanded. It's going in these decks that really make no sense with it. You know, we've made all these nerfed versions of this card that are at least a little bit more fair. I don't see why we still need this card around. I don't think it creates interesting gameplay. It just makes these decks do things that they shouldn't do. And just, again, I don't think it's good for the format. And also, this is one, you know, we already know it's happening, just in the case that they advertise Arceus V-Star with the double colorless energy at the same time. But I think Pokemon should be a little bit more aware of their attack costs when it comes to these Pokemon. I think they're getting a little bit better at it, although, like I said, I just saw evidence to the contrary. But, don't just blatantly make a Pokemon that's whole attack is colorless energy because that's going to get abused. It's the same things I brought up with Arceus V-Star where people just cheated out too early. So, again, just be more conscious of attacks, throw more energy in, make it so players have to actually do unique energy accelerators rather than just playing this in every single deck.
Number 3.
All right, coming in at number 3, it's these board wipe ability negates. Here are two prime examples that I am seeing everywhere. Oh man. Okay, so one of my things about Pokemon is, don't get me wrong, I love counterplay, and I think there should be counterplay to abilities. But these cards are like sweeping deck-ending counterplay to abilities. I can't tell you. Obviously, if some of you have seen my What's Next video, I tend to play a Lost March deck and Expanded. That's probably the one that I enjoy the most. But just in general, everyone's playing abilities. These cards come in and like, what are you supposed to do against them? Like Garbodor, okay, if they have a Pokemon tool card attached, everyone has no abilities everywhere. So you have to happen to be running tool removal in a best of one format with no sideboard. That's the part where I try to make these cards much easier to discard tools, more accessible among all the types because it feels bad, right? Some matchups that doesn't ever come up and some matchups that does. So the counterplay there is already really rough, as well as Wobbuffet here is just straight up stops it for everything except Psychic Pokemon, which let me tell you, I am really tired of watching these Calyrex VMAX stacks just throw out Wobbuffet and sit there and play the game while I can't play the game. I don't see how that is fair nor fun, most importantly. So again, it's not that I'm against different ways to counterplay against abilities because I think that's good, but these cards are so sweeping that I'm sure some of you can think of your decks that you run into these cards and you're like, that's it, that's my whole deck, I can't play anymore. I've had that happen to me. It is very feel bad, and even if this is not widespread yet, I don't think these cards create a good gameplay experience. So things there, again, design more interesting counterplay. For those of you that didn't know, during the Ruby and Sapphire period, there is a Shift Tree EX you should check out during that time. I think that's a great example. I can tell you, you probably saw my Mewtwo in the first set. Watch the Psychic Fighting episode if you haven't seen that. And also, I'll have more cards in the future that are great for counterplaying abilities. I think Path to the Peak is a fine example. Stadiums are a lot more likely to be played. They're a lot easier to get rid of, and they only take out abilities for some Pokemon. So instead of these just wide ability wipes that shut your whole deck down, that one's like, oh, I got to build my deck more creatively. So I think those are ways to take care of these cards.
Number 2.
All right, coming in at number 2. Oh man, this is the plague of expanded right now, or extended. It drives me absolutely crazy. The SPEC cards. This design, I just got to say this for Pokemon because they're still doing this. They're getting a little, they were getting better and then they got worse at it. Only one copy of a card in your deck is not a restriction, okay? Especially in Pokemon where everyone draws their deck like it's no tomorrow. And I'm looking at three A-Spec cards in particular. Life Dew, Rock Guard, Computer Search. Oh man, these cards drive me crazy. Once again, these ones, instead of being coin flips, it's just the fact that, oh, it's one per deck, so we're going to have the super swingy effect. I can tell you I've had numerous games where I was, oh, I'm going to win. I'm going to knock out this 3 prize and get the game. And then Life Dew came down. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to prepare for a 1-of? Same thing with Rock Guard. Tell me how many times you've run into Stunfisk V and immediately attacks and has Rock Guard on it. And you're like, I can't even attack it. I just get knocked out in return. Computer Search is the least feel bad of them, but it's still such a crazy card. I mean, everyone just gets to tutor whatever they want. Even the other ones, like Scoop Up Cyclone, I think it's called, and Master Ball, I think they're just way too strong. And my big problem and why I bring these up is because I see Pokemon is still doing this. The Prism Star cards, I'm going to give them credit, were way more balanced than these. I think they were designed really well, like effects like the Diancie Prism Star that makes sense when it's only a 1-of. But then, they go back to the Radiant Pokemon, and now we got Radiant Greninja, which is just a format dominating card, and it just feels bad. Just overall, the A-Spec are the worst of all of them. The fact that they're item cards just makes them so easy to abuse. But Oh, I just think these are trouble. So what fix do I have for this one? I really can't say too much besides ban these cards and stop designing one per decks for trainers. Please, please, please ban these cards. These are the cards in particular that I think expanded is just such a feel bad format because you go to play, you run into these, and then you're like, oh, great, I got to open packs of black and white, which has been power crept out of the format. So unless I pull one of these packs are going to feel extremely bad. Oh, they're not good for the game. And don't make one per decks. They're not fair. Magic the Gathering learned that message or that lesson, and I hope Pokemon does too.
Number 1.
So I'm sure you're wondering at this point, what is my number one most disliked card? And I realize at the end of the day, it is specifically that I have to shout out one of the strategies it abuses, Team Flare Battle Compressor. Wow, I cannot believe this card is still allowed and expanded right now. It allows so many degenerate plays right now, way too easily. I mean, when you compare it to the other card games, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a card called Foolish Burial. It essentially, for those who don't know how Yu-Gi-Oh plays, it played just like an item card, except it only did this once. And that card was crazy for a long time. And now all Yu-Gi-Oh decks try to play this effect because it's so good. Magic the Gathering had a card that had the same effect, only send one card to the graveyard, and it's banned in multiple formats. It's deemed too powerful to bring back into standard. And yet, for some reason, Pokemon has this card, and it does it 3 times. The most powerful in all the card games ever. The thing about this card that just drives me crazy is that it enables so many strategies that decks should not be doing, and it like cuts creativity in half. I love graveyard shenanigans. I'm totally okay with them. I like seeing people playing like the old Vespiquen or the Wormadam that's trying to deal 10 damage for the Pokemon in the discard pile, or people trying to use their Mew and Mewtwo tag team. I don't like how that card is giant HP, but I get what they're going for there. It's cute. It's fun to do graveyard strategies, but it should not be this easy. I can't tell you how many games I've had in Expanded where I passed my first turn or didn't even start the game. My opponent played 2 battle compressors and summoned Mewtwo v Union right into play right there. Oh my goodness. Okay, like I don't think that's how the card game was ever intended to be played, and I don't think this card is creating a healthy format. But this one, at least, there's a lot of changes that can be done for it. So let's go into that real quickly. First off, ban this card. Really, I think I saw this was banned at some point, and now it's been unbanned. It's allowing more and more degenerate decks every day. I even have it in a deck, and I just feel wrong playing it because it feels like this is not a card that's okay to be allowing. And just again, I would bring this up, ban this card. I don't think it's good for Pokemon. Um, and let's say you're you're like, no, I really, really like this card. Just limit it to one, and it will not feel so bad. Like it should say, search your deck for up to one card and discard it. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Still kind of wrong because anyone can just play it for freely, but honestly, I'm okay with that at least because then you can't just cheat out Mewtwo v Union instantly. You're going to have to actually bother to find all 4 pieces or have all 4 of the item card instead of just having one in your hand and being way ahead already. I know they made Professor Burnett. It seems Pokemon's clear how strong this effect is in standard. I just wish they would get rid of this in expanded. Um, yeah, limit the effect to Pokemon. This is another thing. This card I can see so often. Like, it's not just the fact that it sends 3 cards to discard pile, but sends literally anything. I definitely think this should be restrained to at least Pokemon. People would still play it. I'd probably still be annoyed by it, but at least it would feel like it's not such a free card to play all the time, which is a big one. And yeah, finally, don't make it needs to be in the discard pile a requirement. This is kind of more a shout out to the V unions, but I remember when they were first showing them off, they were like, oh yeah, the big challenge is you have to get them in the discard pile. And I was thinking, have the designers never played a card game before? That's not a drawback. That's a very easily achieved goal, especially in a game where Ultra Ball and Quick Ball and things like that are commonplace cards. So again, more shout out to the V unions. I think we can make better designs than, oh, you need to throw it in the discard pile. Yeah, I'll do that all day long very easily. So, all right, that is my top 10 Pokemon card designs that drive me crazy. As you can see here, I have the list 1 through 10 of these cards. Again, when I'm going through these cards, it's not to say that Pokemon's a bad game, and I intend to show card ideas that I really like during the next episode, but I just want to note cards that I think are unhealthy designs. I think they kind of push people away from the game. I can tell you every time I play against them, I'm like, oh man. Honestly, sometimes I feel tempted to just log off because it feels like, why am I fighting against these cards that are just always doing these crazy things? Let me know what your thoughts are. I want to know. Some of you may disagree. I could see people saying crushing hammers and double colorless are good for the format. I'd beg to differ, but I always love to get some takes from other pro Pokemon players, see what they think about it. But definitely let me know regardless. And again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one a bunch. Stay tuned. I will show you what I think are good Pokemon card ideas. I'm not totally full of negativity, so you can look forward to that. I've been Beyond TCG, and I'll see you in the next episode.